My stand-in is Steve. Chapter 1, Sequence. Chapter 1 Prologue about my reincarnation as Sure. Steve. Earth, Jiangqing. Fang Yamo was holding his sister's little hand and slowly walking down the street. It was 10 minutes at noon in midsummer, and the scorching sun shone a dazzling amount of light, and even the air began to steam and twist under the high temperature. Fang Yamo quietly endured the scorching heat, and he was sweating profusely. Even the few stray dogs on the road seemed to be scorched from the sun and looked listless. But unlike the impatient adults, Fang Xian, who was still young, was not afraid of the sultry weather at all, and instead happily hummed songs. It's nice to be young. Seeing his younger sister jumping happily, Fang Yamo yawned lazily. After all, I'm still old, and I can't stand it until 10 o'clock in the morning. For Fang Yamo, the second oldest spiny ape, playing games all night is the norm. It's a pity that the body that has been working hard for many years can't compare to the young man. Looking at Fang Xian's youthful appearance enjoying the summer vacation, Fang Yamo, the elder brother, can't help but sigh. A ruthless guy who doesn't sleep. But now, under the pressure of the capital lords, all the liver-exploding abilities that he trained in playing games when he was young are all used to work overtime. It is precisely because of this that he plays games like crazy when he is resting. As a result, his thick dark circles have disappeared for 3 years. Even when he is in the company, he is often dubbed as a panda house by many colleagues. Long. You love me, I love you, looking for snow and ice city sweet. As I was thinking, a very brainwashed cold drink shop magic ballad suddenly came from across the street. Brother, I want to eat ice cream. Fang Xian was still a child after all, and she immediately looked up at Fang Yamo after hearing these ballads. Her eyes flashed, and she pretended to be pitiful and well-behaved. Brother, give it to me. $2, okay. Little greedy cat. Fang Yamo smiled dotingly, then took Fang Xian's little hand and walked across the street. Let's go, brother, please eat a sundae. Great. Fang Xian raised his small fist and cheered. Immediately afterwards, the two walked across the sidewalk while chatting and laughing, preparing to go to the cold drink shop. But at this moment, there was a piercing whistle sound not far away. Fang Yamo turned his head to look, and found that a dump truck had passed the red light at the intersection, and hurried towards him without slowing down. Rush. As for Fang Xian, she has been frightened to the ground. Seeing this, Fang Mo's heart throbbed suddenly, and he immediately wanted to pull Fang Xian to escape, but the incentive for staying up late for more than 10 years finally came to fruition at this moment. Fang Mo's chest suddenly felt a violent colic. The whole person froze in place for a while in pain, unable to move. Seeing the dump truck getting closer and closer to him, Fang Yamo gritted his teeth and squeezed out the last bit of strength to kick Fang Xian away. Accompanied by a long breaking sound, blood almost moistened the entire street. Fang Yamo was lying on the ground, his mind was buzzing, his lower body had completely lost consciousness, and he could only vaguely feel something warm and sticky flowing out of his stomach little by little. Elder brother. Fang Xian's heart-wrenching cry rang out in his ears. After hearing the call, Fang Yamo reluctantly opened his eyes, and what caught his eyes was Fang Xian's crying face, and a pool of meat mud mixed with rags and stubble not far away. Still a full pair of jeans. Am I going to die? After seeing this scene, for some reason, Fang Yamo realized that he was not as frightened as he thought. How should I put it? After all, I died at a young age, and I can save decades of struggle. I'm afraid it's too late for my colleagues to envy me. It's just too miserable to die without a whole body. I can't imagine it. How should my parents collect their corpses at that time? They can't really be like those car accident highlights, starting with 5 dogs and shoveling them at the end. Confirmation complete, the body data was successfully converted. Ha! Fang Yamo was stunned for a moment. He seemed to have heard a vague voice just now, but Fang Xian was crying so hard that he couldn't hear what the voice said, but it was probably just a passerby. After all, this tragic situation is really worth them to send a short video or something. Maybe he will appear in those car accident highlights by then. Xian, stop crying. Thinking of this, Fang Yamo stretched out his hand and patted Fang Xian on his body lightly. Although the child had no weight, he was now cut off in the waist. After the initial numbness, there was only boundless pain, even a tiny touch. Touching would also make him unbearable. Confirmation complete, the parameters of the data avatar have been adjusted, and the pain shielding is successful. Brother, I won't cry anymore. After hearing Feng Mo's voice, Feng Xian began to wipe away her tears desperately, but the more she wiped the tears, the more they fell uncontrollably. Brother is dying, so listen carefully to what I say to you next. For some reason, Feng Mo felt that the pain seemed to disappear suddenly, and he thought that he was going to return to the light, so he quickly seized the time and told the other party, the police should contact mom and dad in a while, you don't have to be afraid, I will say next. If you have to tell them the truth, just say it's my last words, and let them follow suit. Brother, bro, don't die. Feng Xian couldn't help crying when he heard this. You silly girl, why are you crying? I died when I was in my 20s, and everyone will only envy my leaks for being cut for decades less. You should be happy for me. Feng Mo forced the other party Xian to squeeze out a smile, and then suddenly became serious. Listen, after I die, remember to burn or sell all the furniture, beds, computer desks, chairs, etc. It is not allowed. Staying at home will only add to your thoughts. Confirmation complete, unlock more furniture mods. Huh? How many sounds? Feng Mo frowned and looked around, but perhaps because of excessive blood loss, his field of vision became smaller and smaller, and he could no longer see whether there was anyone around him, so he had to continue the other party's instructions. After I die, no one else is allowed to touch my computer. After burning me, the ashes can be put into the case and buried. Otherwise, I will be alone and I won't be able to play a game. Confirmation complete, unlock the tombstone module. Feng Xian was speechless, just nodding while crying. By the way, and my phone. As he was dying, Feng Mo suddenly thought of the travel records of his mobile phone, so he poured out another strength out of nowhere, struggling to turn over and crawling towards the phone not far away, but after only 2 crawls, he went back again. Losing strength, I could only look at the phone not far away unwillingly. Confirmation complete, unlock the flexible mobile module. Brother. Feng Xian saw this and handed Feng Mo's phone to him with tears on his face. Feng Mo smiled reluctantly. After taking over the phone, he deleted the tour record as quickly as possible. After thinking about it, he opened the penguin again, and sent her a message, sorry, I can't play with you in the future. After doing this, Feng Mo just lay down on the ground as if all his strength had been drained. Finally, it's done, so I can rest my eyes, but if I get hit by a dump truck, I shouldn't do it later. Will you also travel to another world? Confirmation complete, unlock the mysterious island module. How many noises have you made since the very beginning? It's been so loud that it's been ringing. At this moment, Feng Mo's pupils have begun to lose focus, and his thinking has become more and more turbid. An indescribable darkness began to cover his consciousness, and it was not until this moment that Feng Mo realized the horror of death. Is this death? As expected, I still don't really want to die. Confirmation complete, set the game mode to survival mode, lose all props and experience after death, but can be reborn infinitely. I still have a lot of things I haven't eaten. Confirmation complete, unlock the Panmas Farm module. I still have a lot of scenery I haven't seen. Confirmation complete, unlock more biome modules. Xian, I'm sorry that my brother can't accompany you. If your parents don't come in a while, you can use the Wicked Map to navigate home. Confirmation complete, unlock the mini-map module. It's all to blame for those capitalists for oppressing Lao Tzu. Originally, Lao Tzu was able to escape, but the angina caused by overtime must have hurt me. This group of capitalists. Hanging them on the street lamps is a bargain for them. If there is a chance I really want to kill these vampires with a knife with my own hands. Confirmation completed, unlock Endless Greed module. Feng Mo lay on the ground, the light in his eyes gradually dissipated, and Feng Xian's howling in his ears gradually faded away. He originally wanted to play a "Don't Stop" meme with Feng Xian, but he didn't wait. Opening his mouth, his consciousness was completely blurred. Only darkness devoured everything Fong Mo once had. End of this chapter. My stand-in is Steve. Chapter 2, the most expensive mod pack ever. Chapter 2, the most expensive mod pack in history. The afterglow of the setting sun penetrated the microgap in the forest, covering everything with a thin curtain of red veil, and even the angular clouds in the sky seemed to be dyed a bit warm orange. Fong Mo, who had just woken up, was a little confused, and the three ultimate questions in the philosophical world slowly emerged in his mind. Who I am? Where am I? What am I going to do? His memory was still at the moment before his death. If I remember correctly, Fong Mo should be explaining his last words to his sister, and as a result, after a flash of effort, he appeared here inexplicably. Obviously this is not Earth anymore. As you can see, everything in this world is made of blocks. No. I shouldn't have really transmigrated, right? Looking at the cube world in front of him, Fong Mo was still very shocked. As a player of the Minecraft game, he of course recognized this as the main world of MC at a glance, although he may have lived in his previous life. MC, I wish to be a cube man in the next life, but I never thought that my wish would come true. According to the game flow, the first thing I have to do now should be smashing trees, right? After all, it is a game that he is familiar with, but Fong Mo's side quickly entered the state, locking his sight on a square tree not far away. But just when Fong Mo was about to start, he suddenly realized a very serious problem. And many more. Fong Mo looked at his palm hesitantly. Isn't this tree really going to let me dig with my hands? Can this TM move? However, what Fong Mo did not expect was that at the moment when this thought arose in his heart, there was a sudden pain in his brain, and Fong Mo even heard the sound of his soul being torn in half, followed by a sudden white light. After a flash, a square figure with sharp corners suddenly appeared in front of Fong Mo. Fong Mo was taken aback by the sudden appearance, but soon, a strange intimacy surged in his heart. As if awakening some kind of sleeping instinct, Fong Mo's heart arose a clear understanding, and then another vision appeared in his mind, that is Steve's first perspective that is very familiar to all MC players. There are not only health, satiety, inventory, but also the small map attached to the module at a glance. Even Fong Mo could see his own body not far away through Steve's first perspective. Ah, this. Fong Mo looked at the square man in front of him with a dazed expression, and an extremely absurd thought emerged in his mind. Could it be that I awakened a Steve to be a stand-in? The concept of substitute, first derived from an anime, refers to the physical projection of the human subconscious. Fong Mo suspected that he might like the game MC too much, and then he awakened a Steve as a stand-in, and as if he had some kind of instinct, Fong Mo used his stand-in like an arm and a finger, even more than in the even more handy when manipulating Steve in the game. Here is the golden finger. Looking at the stand-in Steve in front of him, Fong Mo felt an unprecedented sense of pleasure. As if in a biting winter day with goose feathers and heavy snow, instead of going to work, you can squat at home to cook hot pot, and even the soul is filled with joyful tremors like sublimation. The appearance of Steve made Fong Mo dispel the remaining concerns in his heart, so he soon acted again. First of all, it is still a tree. Fong Mo controlled Steve to come under the tree, waved his right hand, and soon a tree turned into several log blocks, which were inhaled by Steve. Immediately after Fong Mo thought about it, he opened Steve's backpack, and while dismantling the wood into planks to synthesize a workbench, he observed Steve's equipment bar, and immediately found an obvious offhand bar. In the game, this position is used to equip Steve with a shield. Seeing this, Fong Mo already had an idea. Old players know that there are actually many different versions of the MC game, such as the Bedrock version and the Java version. The older versions are generally very simple and unpretentious. Fighting basically depends on hand speed, and the newer version adds a lot of gear and new features, like shields, sweeping blades, etc. If there is a version in this world, Fong Mo estimates that it is at least the version after 1.12. But soon, Fong Mo realized that he guessed wrong. Because just after he made a wooden pickaxe and dug 3 feet into the ground to make a set of stone tools with cobblestone, Fong Mo happened to encounter a zombie who wanted to attack him. Although he has already killed an unknown number of zombies in the game, after all, this is not a pure game world. Fong Mo, who was fighting for the first time, was inevitably a little nervous, so he controlled Steve to swing his sword frantically. The speed is simply a ghost, and the zombie was chopped up alive before it even landed, and it turned into a piece of rotten flesh after a scream. Good guy. Yasuo can't swing his sword faster than you. Fong Mo couldn't help but spit out a sentence, and by the way overthrew his previous thoughts. The feature that Steve relies on attack speed to eat seems to come from version 1.7. Fong Mo speculates that this world may not have a clear version. It can also be said that it is a combination of many different version features. Thinking of this, Fong Mo began to explore the surroundings. This world is a very pure MC world, which is almost no different from the game. Not only the sun and clouds in the sky are square, but even the surrounding trees and soil have a square structure of 1m times 1m, which looks very neat. The whole world is like a huge sandbox, as if in the palm of a plaything. Fong Mo's location is a forest. This spawn point is not bad, at least he won't worry about wood. Considering that it was getting late, Fong Mo did not go far, but emptied the surrounding trees a little. He planned to prepare the entire cabin for the coming night. By the way, after the leaves disappeared, he could still brush out a few more trees. An apple for dinner. But to Fong Mo's surprise, Steve accidentally found some strangely shaped plants under the tree during the process of cutting down the tree. The vegetables and fruits, such as cucumbers, broccoli, kale, raspberries, wax bayberry, grapes, etc., were directly packed into Steve's small half-backpack. Seeing these things, Fong Mo was stunned for a moment. This is Panma's farm. Thinking of this, Fong Mo's face suddenly became a little weird. He hadn't reacted when he discovered the mini-map module before, but now even Panma's farm has appeared. Seeing this scene, Fong Mo couldn't help but think of the strange thing that sounded in his mind when he said his last words before. Voice. Isn't this, make my last words into an integration pack? End of this chapter. My stand-in is Steve. Chapter 3, What is a MC Old Player? Chapter 3, What is a MC Veteran? Isn't this, make my last words into an integration pack? Thinking of this, Fong Mo was also stunned. This is too sloppy. I knew that I had been more than a few words in the beginning. Aside from other modules, at least the entire equivalent exchange module must die, right? Standing in the same place for a while, Fong Mo finally sighed helplessly. Oh, forget it, anyway, I didn't add a group of mountains to me. Since Fong Mo awakened a Steve as a stand-in, instead of becoming Steve himself, he can actually do two things now, just like when he was playing a game, Steve was cutting down trees over there, and he himself thought about the impact of those modules on himself in the future. The mod Panma's farm is quite familiar to Fong Mo, and he often encountered it when he played on the server before. It probably added some interesting mods such as new crops, kitchen utensils, and food recipes. But for Fong Mo, this is not good news. Because Panma's farm has added a lot of new food recipes to the game, but it has seriously reduced the satiety of those original ingredients. The more easily available food in the game, like potatoes, apples, carrots, etc., the less hunger can be restored, unless you are willing to spend a lot of time making a set of Panma's kitchenware, and then put simple the ingredients are cooked into exquisite dishes. But now the problem is, Fong Mo can't remember the synthesis list of Panma's farm. If it was in the game, Fong Mo would just go to the guide, but now that he himself is in the MC world, he still needs to check the guide. Fong Mo said that he is a normal person. Except for the more commonly used item synthesis methods in the original version, he can't remember any other complex synthesis lists. After all, those mods have almost added thousands of synthesis formulas to the game. If someone can memorize it all, then there is no doubt that there is something seriously wrong with the brain. Sloppy. After realizing that he couldn't check the synthesis list, Fong Mo's whole body became numb in an instant. I knew that I would have a JEI or NEI before I died, and the whole G-key synthesis table would be fine. Actually, it's better to say about the Panma's farm. After all, Fong Mo was too lazy to play this mod before, it was nothing more than a whole lot of potatoes. If 3 baked potatoes are not enough, then I eat 10 of the head office, right? It is other modules that really give Fong Mo a headache. is like endless greed. If there is no synthesis list, just the recipe of the endless catalyst is enough to make Fong Mo die in place. Just when Fong Mo was worrying about the synthesis list, his stand-in had been faithfully cutting down trees, and because Steve was cutting down trees as fast as the game, it didn't take long for his backpack to be full. After noticing this, Fong Mo had no choice but to temporarily put aside his entanglement with the synthesis list and start organizing his backpack. After a period of hard work, Steve's backpack had about 7 sets of wood, most of the rough stones, a few stone picks, and the rest, basically all kinds of fruits and vegetables from Panmas. At the same time, the sky was completely dark. Some deep whimpering could be vaguely heard in the forest, as well as some rattling sounds like bones colliding. After hearing this sound, Fong Mo also reflected it, apparently because he had just been in a daze for too long, ignoring the coming of night, so that now the surroundings have begun to spawn monsters. Perhaps for Mengxin, the first night in the MC world is very dangerous. Those zombies hiding in the dark seem to be endless, and the cold arrows of skeleton archers are always hard to guard against. Not to mention the silent creepers, once they start to sizzle, there is only one result waiting for the newbies, and that is to be blown to pieces. However, such a picture can only happen to those who are new at most. As for Fong Mo. Who is Fong Mo? A MC player, a humanoid fighter, and the #1 god of war in the entire server. Dig 3 and fill 1 to understand. Seeing the strange figures in the surrounding woods, Fong Mo didn't say a word, directly controlled Steve to dig a 3-block high hole in place, and then stepped on Steve's shoulder and jumped in. There is no way, after all, the cubes in the MC world are all 1 meter by 1 meter oversized. If Steve can jump directly into the 3-meter high hole, Fong Mo is not very good. But when he jumped into the burrow, this simple underground safe house was officially announced as completed. The whole process doesn't even take more than 10 seconds. Of course, Fong Mo didn't plan to squeeze Steve in this small space all night, so after sealing the hole above his head, he immediately controlled Steve to dig the surrounding space. After digging for a while, Fong Mo got a simple basement. Is about 3 meters high, 12 meters long and 9 meters wide. Fong Mo has always been a pragmatist, not to mention that it is still in the early stage of development. Those who want to build a big house without living an inch are simply full of food. For him, just grab a basement and make do with it. At this moment, this basement is littered with torches, a workbench on the left, and several furnaces and chests. As for the right side, it was covered with a layer of 9 by 9 soil. Fong Mo planned to transform it into an underground farm and get some potatoes to feed himself. After simply sorting out his belongings, Fong Mo also directly chose to mine. When digging the basement before, he accumulated a lot of cobblestone, and also burned a set of charcoal with a furnace. Now Steve has 4 sets of torches and more than 10 stone pickaxes in his backpack. It must be cool to start mining. As for the rest of the backpack, basically it was filled with Panma's ingredients. Then this is where the mod of Panmas is tricking people. At first glance, Fong Mo brought a lot of vegetables and fruits. It seems to be very hungry, but eating one of these things only restores 1 hunger point, but there are still many kinds, especially in the backpack. What grapes, blueberries, kale, tomatoes and broccoli are messed up. Big pile. Fong Mo said that he went mining or camping. Shook his head, Fong Mo controlled Steve to eat 7 blueberries, first full of hunger, and then digging a mine. Fong Mo's mines extend diagonally downward. When they are near the bedrock, they expand in a fishbone shape on both sides. This is the most cost-effective way to dig iron ore and find the location of diamonds in advance. But what Fong Mo did not expect was that he had only dug about 20 times when the stone pickaxe suddenly swung into the void. A huge natural mine directly caught his eye. Seeing this scene, Fong Mo was also stunned. With the help of the dim light of the torches on the wall, Fong Mo vaguely saw several iron ore in the mine. In fact, it is quite irrational to explore the mines naked. After all, the mines are so dark, and some monsters will often spawn, which is still very dangerous for Steve, who is not wearing armor. But Fong Mo is an old miner after all, so he still has the confidence. I saw that he first controlled Steve to insert some torches in the mine, and after observing the general terrain, he walked over and started mining iron ore. Soon, a small group of iron ore was found in Steve's backpack. After obtaining the iron ore, Fong Mo was not greedy, and went back to the basement to start smelting. He made a whole set of iron armor, an iron sword, and a shield. It can almost be said to have armed Steve to the teeth. Same. With this set of equipment, Fong Mo finally breathed a sigh of relief. Now he finally has the ability to protect himself. Controlled Steve to eat another 6 bunches of grapes, plus 2 cucumbers to replenish his hunger, and Fong Mo returned to the underground world again. However, Fong Mo's luck seems to be a bit ridiculous. After digging through the previous mine, Fong Mo originally wanted to continue to move towards the bedrock, but it didn't take long for him to suddenly dig a piece covered with moss. Rock. And under this moss stone, there was a faint whimper of some monsters. Fuck, isn't it? Seeing this scene, Fong Mo couldn't help showing a surprised expression. Dungeon. End of this chapter. My stand-in is Steve. Chapter 4, Welcome to the Marvel Beginning Universe. Chapter 4, Welcome to the Marvel Beginning Universe. Dungeon. Isn't it? Looking at the moss stone in front of him, Fong Mo was obviously a little surprised. Although he has seen a lot of dungeons in the game, this kind of situation where you can dig down with a pickaxe is really rare. Fong Mo asked Steve to dig out the moss stone, then glanced inside, and found that it was a very small and dark space. There was a monster spawner on the ground in the center. With the special effect of particle burning, a few zombies appeared out of nowhere and started walking and wandering around the room. In the corner of the room, a wooden box was quietly placed there. As we all know, except for Dark Souls players, no one can resist the temptation to open treasure chests in the game. Even Fong Mo is no exception. If Steve is still clueless, Fong Mo may still be a little more relaxed. But now that he is fully armed, okay. In the server, he dares to fight the Ender Dragon with this equipment, so now it is not as simple as killing chickens and dogs. Thinking of this, Fong Mo waved his hand directly. Steve received the instruction and immediately waved the pickaxe in his hand to dig through the moss stone, and then the iron sword was swung into a sword, light and sword shadow. Several zombies couldn't even resist, and they all turned into rotten flesh on the ground. After killing the zombies, Fong Mo used torches to seal the monster spawning cage and blocked the gap in the dungeon. Then he swaggered over and turned over the box. The contents of the reward box are very common, a few gold ingots and a common golden apple. And a very strange golden book. Seeing this unique golden book, Fong Mo was also a little puzzled. What is this? Obviously this thing is not an enchanted book, because the cover of the enchanted book is actually brown, and the surface will also shine with lavender enchanting special effects, but the cover of this book is golden. Fong Mo studied the book a little, and found that the item name of this book is a string of English words like Marvel Comics. For some reason, this string of English makes Fong Mo feel very familiar, but it's a pity that Fong Mo is a pure English idiot. Although this string of English sounded familiar to him, he still failed to understand its meaning. To be sure, this book is definitely an item in a mod. But how to say it? Fong Mo really can't remember what mod this is. Adhering to the mentality that since you don't know, it's better to right-click to try it out, Fong Mo directly asked Steve to use this golden book. However, what Fong Mo did not expect was that when the book was opened, a monstrous black mist suddenly poured out of the book, completely swallowing Fong Mo and Steve. Achievement, One-Way Journey. With the icy electronic sound in his mind, Fong Mo felt that his vision was plunged into darkness, and a feeling of falling rapidly filled his body, but this strange feeling only lasted for a few seconds, and then everything returned to normal. Fong Mo opened his eyes and found himself in a strange place. It looks like a cave, the surroundings are very dark, there are a lot of sundries on the table next to it, and there is a heavy iron gate not far away, and there is a dull and dirty smell everywhere. After seeing this scene, Fong Mo was obviously a little stunned. This place is obviously the Earth. Although I don't know this place at all, everything here is very real. The exposed rocks in the cave are all irregular shapes, and they have not been forcibly integrated into 1 meter times 1 meters of cobblestone. I actually came back. Fong Mo was a little excited. Although he didn't know what was going on, he didn't expect that he would actually come back. That's really great. He finally had the opportunity to go back and see his family. However, before Fong Mo was happy for a long time, there was a commotion outside, and then the big iron gate was slammed open, and a group of men with guns were pulling two blood-stained prisoners into the room. As a result, when I looked up, I saw Fong Mo inside. For a moment, both sides froze in place. *F# K. However, before Fong Mo could say anything, the group of people took the lead in reacting, raising their guns directly at Fong Mo, and they kept saying things he didn't understand at all. Fuck. Seeing the gun in the opponent's hand, Fong Mo was also a little panicked. After all, he is a modern person, and being afraid of this thing can be said to be an instinctive reaction. At this moment, he raised his hands subconsciously, then what, grass, brain, hurry up, think of a way. System prompt, Chineseization module starts to download. What? Hearing this sudden voice, Fong Mo was also taken aback for a moment, but before he could react, the group of people on the opposite side suddenly started. Hearing the bang of a gunshot, Fong Mo felt a huge force coming directly from his eyebrows. In the next second, he fell backward uncontrollably. Ha ha ha. Seeing Fong Mo falling down, the group of people immediately burst into cruel and playful laughter. On the contrary, the two captives looked more excited, and one of them kept shouting something like, "No. You demons. Ha ha ha." The more excited the two captives were, the more excited these people seemed, with sneering smug smiles on their faces, as if they were enjoying the scene. But soon, they stopped laughing. Because they saw Fong Mo's corpse and stood up slowly. The one who drafted the uncle took Lao Tzu as Kennedy, didn't he? I saw Fong Mo slowly standing up straight. At this moment, his eyebrows had been pierced by a bullet, and a hole went directly from his forehead to the back of his head, but the strange thing was that he didn't seem to be affected at all, even in the wound. Not even a drop of blood flowed out. In fact, Fong Mo is indeed fine. Even if his head was shot, he didn't feel the slightest pain. Instead, it was Steve who inexplicably deducted half of his heart. However, it also happened that Steve lost half of his heart, causing Fong Mo, who was nervous, to calm down slowly, because he finally recalled his current identity. How can a stand-in messenger with a powerful stand-in be afraid of a group of ordinary people with guns? Thinking of this, Fong Mo's expression gradually became cold. If it is from the anime perspective, then it is estimated that there is already an ominous purple arrogance burning on Fong Mo's body. Maybe there should be some kind of oppressive background music sounding at the same time. That terrifying momentum is enough to set off Fong Mo into a real villain boss. Steve emerged from behind Fong Mo like a ghost, and that expressionless face looked particularly penetrating. After personally experiencing the danger and cruelty of this world, Fong Mo's weak moral concept collapsed instantly, and Steve's fighting skills honed for thousands of days and nights in the game finally came to fruition at this moment. Steve rushed forward like a ghost, aiming at the beard headed by a jump. I saw the beard froze for a moment, and then a thin bloodstain started to extend down from his forehead. In the next second, his body fell to both sides without any warning, the internal organs in his stomach splashed all over the floor, and a pungent smell quickly spread out. After seeing the terrifying death of their companions, the rest of the crowd immediately screamed and screamed in terror. However, the result is different from the last time. This time, the bullets flying towards Fong Mo stopped strangely in the air. Steve held a thick shield like a door panel, blocking all the bullets that were shot at Fong Mo. In the final analysis, Steve is nothing more than an illusion condensed by spiritual will, so ordinary people can't see it except for the similar. Is also because of this, so in the eyes of everyone on the opposite side, it seems that Fong Mo stopped the bullet out of thin air. Seeing that Fong Mo was able to block even bullets, the group of people on the opposite side became even more terrified. Fong Mo kept pulling the trigger, and in an instant, countless tongues of flame spit out, and the durability of the shield in Steve's hand began to drop rapidly. Fong Mo's eyes narrowed slightly, and under the control of his mind, Steve quickly took out a few boulders and placed them in front of him. The bullet hit the cobblestone and made a clanging sound, and the sparks flew around with the stone chips. Soon everyone emptied the bullets in the magazines, but even so, they still pulled the trigger frantically, and the guns in their hands made a crackling sound, but not even a single bullet could be fired. In the face of the horrified crowd, Steve raised the steel sword in his hand indifferently. One will be invisible. How terrifying is a monster that can split a person vertically from the middle with a single knife. When Steve slashed a man in half again, the group of guys with guns finally broke down and began to roll and crawl out to escape. Fong Mo did not continue to pursue. Of course, this is not to say that he suddenly had good thoughts in his heart. But just now, that strange electronic sound sounded again in his mind. System prompt: the download of the Chinese module is complete, do you want to load it? Chinese module. After hearing this information, Fong Mo was also subconsciously stunned. What is this mod for? Is there anything else in the MC world that needs to be Chinese? Wait. This thing shouldn't be translated before. The English on the Golden Book, right? System prompt: the download of the Chinese module is complete, do you want to load it? This electronic sound doesn't make sense to Fong Mo at all, but it just repeats the previous message rigidly. Well. Okay. Fong Mo pondered for a while, then nodded in agreement, then load it up and try it. System prompt: Chinese module loaded successfully. System tip: since you downloaded and ran a brand new mod, you got a lucky block that randomly draws an item from any known mod. With the sound of this electronic prompt, Fong Mo felt a sudden tingling sensation in his mind, as if there was something strange. At the same time, there was an extra one in Steve's backpack. Colorful squares. Lucky cube. Fong Mo also showed a surprised expression when he saw the colorful squares that suddenly appeared in his backpack. Of course, he also knew about the module of lucky squares. After opening it, he could draw good things from the original version, but he had this one in his hand. Lucky cube can even pull out mod items. This must be a version modified by someone. Mo is also a little confused here. He really can't figure out how this any known module is calculated. Is a mod in your mod pack? Or, as long as the mods you know are included. Hey, friend, how did you do it just now? Was it witchcraft? Just as Fong Mo was thinking, a voice suddenly sounded, followed by two sneaky figures poking out from the corner. Fong Mo looked back subconsciously, but the next second he was stunned. Steel, Iron Man. End of this chapter. My stand-in is Steve. Chapter 5, I'm just a passerby. Chapter 5, I'm just a passing stand-in. Fong Mo is stunned now. I haven't figured out what happened to the Chinese module and the lucky block, but what happened to Iron Man when it suddenly appeared? The guy in front of him is definitely Iron Man. At this moment, the other party was wearing a worn coat, and a rudimentary electromagnet was inlaid on his blood-stained chest. It was connected to a car battery along two wires. Although his face was very haggard, Fong Mo was still fascinated by it at a glance. I recognized it, it was definitely me. But in Fong Mo's perception, Iron Man is a character in the movie. How did he become a real person? Where did his TM come from? Iron Man? What is that? Stark here seemed to be stunned after seeing Fong Mo's reaction. But before he could speak, another middle-aged man who looked thinner suddenly said, "Sir, no offense, we are just prisoners taken back by terrorists." You are. Although his brain was very confused, Fong Mo quickly recognized the identity of the other party, that surgeon named Ethan. You know me? Ethan was a little strange, he really couldn't remember when he had met the other party, but this was good news, and it might ease the hostility of the other party. Thinking of this, Ethan slowly raised his hands, indicating that he was not threatening. As you can see, my companions and I are also victims captured by terrorists, and it may not be long before they will be killed. Ethan's remarks are fairly level, and he immediately described himself as the same victim as Fong Mo. In this way, the two sides have a common enemy. Wait, let me stroke it first. However, before Ethan could finish speaking, Fong Mo suddenly lifted his forehead and asked Stark, "So, you are really Tony Stark, right?" That's right. Stark hesitated for a while, but nodded anyway. You sure? Fong Mo couldn't help confirming it again. This. Stark seemed to be stunned for a while, and then couldn't help but ask, is there a second Tony Stark in this world? Heard here. Fong Mo has thousands of thoughts in his heart. I didn't expect that I would actually travel to the Marvel Universe, and it seems that the timeline is still very early, even Iron Man has not been born yet. At the same time, he finally understood the true identity of the golden book in the dungeon reward box. If Fong Mo guessed correctly, this item that allows him to travel to other worlds should come from the Mysterious Island mod. Mysterious Island, Fong Mo has actually played it a few times. The main element of this mod is about exploring different worlds. It seems that players can use a book to travel to various different worlds. If they are unlucky, they will fall directly into the void. If they are lucky, they may even encounter special places such as the Diamond Continent. Terrain. But the problem is, even if Fong Mo travels to a different world, it should be a different world of MC. What kind of trouble is this throwing him directly into the Marvel world? Magic change doesn't play like this. It's better now, even Fong Mo himself doesn't know how to go back. That. Just when Fong Mo had a headache, Ethan here suddenly reminded, although it is impolite, I still want to remind you that Tony Stark is very important to them, so I guess this group of lunatics it's not going to give up so easily. As if to verify what Ethan said, there were a lot of footsteps outside soon. Fortunately, Fong Mo's ability to accept is still very strong. After crossing into the MC world, he quickly adapted to it. Of course, it is the same now. Although he is still a little surprised, his movements are not slow at all. Directly controlled Steve to place a lot of boulders at the door, blocking the group of people outside. Damn! How did these stones appear? Separated by a 1-meter thick rock, there was a faint roar of scolding outside. Unlike the anger of the terrorists outside, the two people in the cave were shocked by this scene, especially Stark, who had believed in science since he was a child. Even though he had seen this scene before, he still couldn't help his eyes widen at this moment. Son, how did he do it? I do not know either. Ethan was of course also confused, he couldn't figure out the principle at all, nanoprinting? Holograms? Or supernatural powers or something? Or like you said just now, witchcraft. However, before the two of them could discuss anything, there was a sudden scream of despair outside. Yes, when he blocked the door with a round stone just now, Fong Mo did not let Steve stay, but chose to take the initiative to attack. You must know that hiding in ignorance is not Fong Mo's character. Even in order to prevent the other party from escaping, Fong Mo specially asked Steve to block the exit at the other end of the cave, completely sealing the group of terrorists in the middle passage, and then solved them one by one. Not long after, the screams outside gradually ceased. Well, it's done. After dealt with the group of terrorists, Fong Mo turned his head, now we can sit down and have a good chat. Perhaps the screams outside were so frightening that Stark here was a little stunned, until Ethan touched him, which made Stark suddenly come back to his senses, so he quickly nodded. Yes, of course, we really should have a good talk. Then let's start with you. Fong Mo lowered his head and thought for a while, and then said to Stark, Tony Stark, right? Let me think, you should be the Notorious on TV, right? The world's largest arms dealer, said tell me how did you get here? I was in Afghanistan to test Jericho missiles, but then I was attacked. When he mentioned this, Stark's side sank obviously, and saw that he pointed to the electromagnet on his chest. As you can see, I just woke up and found such a thing in my chest. It's a blessing, the bomb fragments can't pierce my heart for the time being, but this group of people has been threatening me to make Jericho missiles, and I don't agree, they torture me by various means. This thing looks a bit technical, did he do it? Fong Mo glanced at the electromagnet on Stark's chest, and then pointed to Ethan next to him, so he saved your life. Yeah, I survived an explosion, and then had a bomb on me that could explode at any moment. Star's current state of mind was obviously very low, and he looked down at the electromagnet on his chest, then looked up and looked around, look at the bad environment here, I will die at any time due to infection, short circuit, or hemorrhage, of course. Even if I barely survive, those terrorists will definitely not let me go. What about yourself? Fong Yimou asked, what do you think about yourself? I have to escape. Stark's eyes flashed with determination. I can't make Jericho missiles for them, they will definitely kill me after that. The military must be looking for you everywhere, but it's too hidden here. After hearing Stark's remarks, Ethan couldn't help but said, the map is blank here, even the satellites can only see the mountains, we need to find a way to leave. I know, I'm already thinking of a way. Stark took a deep breath with his hands over his head, trying to calm himself down. As a who has enjoyed glory and wealth since he was born, now is the worst situation in his life. The threat of death has filled his heart with crisis and confusion. He doesn't even know that he can still live. How long? Maybe, you can also try to rely on the mysterious Oriental witchcraft. Suddenly Fong Mo's voice sounded, and Stark was stunned for a moment. Is that really witchcraft? Stark stared at Fong Mo for a long time, and finally couldn't help but ask, are you willing to take us out of here? Also, how did you come here? This is a long story. Fong Mo pondered, and began to think about how to fabricate lies. To be honest, Fong Mo doesn't actually want to stay in the Marvel Universe for too long. After all, the Marvel Universe is too messy. Every time a villain pops up and wants to destroy the world or something, even if he has the golden finger of Steve, I want to go back to the MC world to mine with peace of mind. But the problem is that Fong Mo doesn't know how he can go back. Although he has played the mod Mysterious Island, it does not mean that he understands everything, or else he would not have accidentally traveled here, right? Since he can't go back in a short time, Fong Mo feels that it is necessary to improve interpersonal relationships. Take Tony Stark as an example. The richest man in the world, a genius scientist, Iron Man, and one of the veterans of the future Avengers Alliance. Mo said that he had made a deal with Stark as a friend. What's more, Fong Mo has always liked the role of Iron Man. If there is a chance, he also wants to change the tragedy staged in the original book. Have you heard of stand-in messengers? After deciding to have a good relationship with Stark, Fong Mo immediately sorted out his words. What is that? Of course they don't know, after all, there is no JoJo comic in this world at all, so they shook their heads directly, and Stark here asked curiously, is it an honorific title for wizards in your East? Actually, I'm just a passerby. Speaking of this, Fong Mo suddenly sighed deliberately, you may not believe it when you say it, I was staying in my home well, but because of some inexplicable situation, I suddenly appeared here. As for what happened after this, you guys I also saw, it was the group of terrorists who moved first. Wait, you mean you're here all of a sudden? After hearing Fong Mo's remarks, Stark looked obviously surprised, are you sure? End of this chapter. My stand-in is Steve Chapter 6, radiating like Stark in the East China Sea, Shubby Epiphany Old Ethan. Chapter 6 Spokes like Stark in the East China Sea, Shubby Ethan. Tony Stark never thought that he would encounter such a terrible crisis. This was originally just a very ordinary military exercise, but he was attacked by terrorists. Not only was he kidnapped into a dark cave, but he was also stuffed with an electromagnet in his chest, which used a weak magnetic force to absorb the bomb fragments in his body, preventing them from piercing his heart. But before he could accept this fact, a group of terrorists rushed in and started torturing him, ordering him to make some Jericho missiles. Just when Stark didn't know whether he could survive, he was the most confused and fearful, a man who claimed to be a substitute messenger suddenly appeared and killed everyone with a strange method that he couldn't understand at all. The terrorist, and then said that he wanted to take himself out of this ghost place. Seriously, Stark was a little scared. He didn't know whether this person was worth trusting, but he had to flee from here immediately. According to Fong Mo, the terrorists have been eliminated by him, and if Stark wants to leave, he can leave anytime, anywhere. But only Stark himself knew how a huge hidden danger the electromagnet on his chest was. Once the car battery used as an energy source was short-circuited, he would definitely die in an instant. So for the sake of his own life, Stark had to make himself a new energy source. Fortunately, there are sufficient materials here, and Ethan is willing to act as an assistant, so Stark quickly completed the first step of making new energy, removing 1.6 grams of metal palladium from a large number of missiles. But just when Stark was going to use the crucible to melt the palladium metal, Fong Mo, who was hiding and studying the substitute, was suddenly stunned, because an electronic prompt sounded in his mind. System prompt, new module features detected, download permission can be obtained after research. New mod feature. What is that? Fong Mo was stunned for a moment, and immediately asked. However, the electronic voice did not answer him at all. Fortunately, Fong Mo now almost understands that this electronic voice of a similar system has no intelligence at all, and cannot communicate. Only when it triggers certain specific conditions, it will suddenly pop out a reminder or something. What? Stark, who was fiddling with the cauldron, seemed to hear something and looked up in confusion. Are you talking to me? More or less. Fong Mo heard the words and walked over to Stark's location. He had some doubts that this new mod feature might have something to do with the other party, so he asked directly, what are you doing? Melting this palladium metal. Stark put the cauldron on the fire and explained, to make a small reactor, I need to pour a palladium ring first. Reactor. Fong Mo glanced at the gradually melting liquid palladium in the crucible. For some reason, he suddenly thought of when he was playing industrial mods with his friends. Because of his stupidity, he accidentally took a uranium-235 grain, which was debuffed by radiation. After all the trouble, he said subconsciously at this moment, my dear. You are planning to share with each other, right? What? Stark was stunned for a moment. What did you say? At this moment, Ethan came over with the sand casting mold he had just made. What's wrong? I just seemed to hear what you were discussing. Look, Ethan, Stark has already started making soup. Fong Mo immediately turned his head and said to Ethan, he's all starting to pretend to die. As a doctor, don't you care about him? Soup. Ethan was also confused when he heard this, and looked at Stark suspiciously. What soup are you cooking? Authentic tritium. Before Stark could answer, Fong Mo gave a thumbs up on purpose. It has a mouthful of radiation, and it has all the aromas. Don't listen to his nonsense. Stark quickly explained, I just plan to make a small arc generator. This thing is very safe. I have an oversized one in my company. Ethan, your hand should be very stable. Come and help me pour palladium. Ring. I just suddenly gave everyone a problem, and asked everyone to find a way to fill the entire cave. Fong Mo saw that Stark simply ignored him, so he played the radiation stock again. First of all, I killed all the terrorists myself, but the corpse was only big enough to cover the ground, and Ethan lit a candle, but there was still a shadow in the cave. Only Stark, the smartest, poured palladium into a small reactor coil, and the radiation instantly filled the cave. Palladium is just a heavy metal, it's not radioactive. When Stark heard this, he finally couldn't help but refute, the reactor I want to build does not rely on fission energy at all, it is a cold fusion energy production that relies on palladium to absorb hydrogen isotopes, so don't mess with you wizard if you don't understand. Say. What? Hearing this, Fong Mo was also stunned. Isn't palladium a radioactive metal? That's called radioactive elements. Stark helped his forehead weakly. Forget it, I'm too lazy to tell you this, you don't even understand the difference between electromagnetic radiation and ionizing radiation. Ethan, come and help me pour the coil. All right. Ethan didn't understand too much here, but he didn't care about it at first. After hearing Stark call him, he immediately started to work seriously. I saw him grip the hot crucible with tongs and start pouring molten palladium into the sand casting mold. And at the moment when the hot molten metal was poured into the mold, Fong Mo's mind suddenly sounded an electronic prompt again. System prompt, the behavior of melting and pouring has been studied, and you have obtained download permission for a new mod. System prompt, the craftsmanship module begins to download. Hearing this prompt, Fong Mo's eyes widened in shock. Now he finally figured it out. It turns out that his mod pack can really add modules to it. He had considered this issue as early as when the Chinese module suddenly appeared before. Now it seems that his guess is correct. Although it is not clear how the ability to add a module is triggered, it is at least a good thing. If you can find a way to add a mod like going home, then can't you return to the MC world? Thinking of this, Fong Mo was also a little excited. Stark had just poured the palladium ring, and it was a long time before the entire reactor was finished. And while taking advantage of this time, Fang Yimou also quickly tried to study how to add modules. For example, he tried to recite 1,000 times in his heart, "I have seen Full Metal Alchemist, I want to exchange modules for the equivalent group," and the like, but unfortunately the results are not very ideal. Seeing that adding modules is hopeless, Fang Yimou had to study the lucky block first. Compared with the mod adding function that I don't know how to trigger the mechanism, the use of the lucky block is much simpler. Fang Yimou just asked Steve to right-click the item, and the next second white light flashed, and the lucky block disappeared. Was replaced by a crystal-clear blade. Huh. This is... Fang Yimou just glanced at it and instantly recognized the origin of this sword. This sword comes from one of Fang Mo's favorite mods, which is the unique glass sword in the Twilight Forest mod. It can only be obtained in the Aurora Palace on the glacier. This sword has up to 40 points of damage, but the only downside is that it only has 1 point of durability. Is as sharp as glass, but also fragile as glass. But Fang Mo's attention was not here. You actually pulled out items from other modules. Fang Yimou rubbed his chin thoughtfully. I haven't loaded the Dusk Forest mod yet, but I pulled out the glass sword inside. Could it be this? Can lucky cubes really draw items from all mods? If you can actually draw all the items in the mod, then this lucky block is really scary. After all, there are really too many modules in the MC game, and many of them have some big killers, such as bacteria that can proliferate indefinitely, bombs that can blow up blocks, or hot spring machines that drown the world. You can find a lot of them. It's a pity that this lucky block was sent by the system, and Fang Yimou didn't know the rules for determining this thing. Is a repetitive reward. You can get a reward once you run a new module, or a one-time reward. After you get it, there will be no more rewards. As if to verify Fang Mo's conjecture, an electronic sound suddenly sounded in his mind. System prompt, the download of the craftsmanship module is complete, do you want to load it? This. Fang Yimou was stunned for a moment, then immediately agreed, hurry up and load it. System prompt, the craftsmanship module has been loaded successfully. System tip, since you downloaded and ran a brand new mod, you got a lucky block that randomly draws an item from any known mod. Accompanied by a system prompt sound, a lucky block appeared in Steve's backpack again. Fuck, really? Fang Yimou was also pleasantly surprised when he saw the colorful lucky square. Excited, Fang Yimou quickly ordered Steve to open the lucky cube. This time, a white light flashed, and a purple claw-like thing appeared in Steve's hand. What is this? Seeing the new item, Fang Yimou also checked it out of curiosity. This is an item called the Hand of Ender. Fang Yimou recalled it a little and found that it seems to be an item from the Mutant Creature module. The left button can directly fight monsters, and the right button can control a block to float in the air and then throw it. Going out to smash monsters and the like, of course, the most powerful thing is shift right-click, which allows players to teleport. This is a real draw. Looking at the purple paw on Steve's hand, Fang Yimou was obviously a little surprised. End of this chapter. My stand-in is Steve. Chapter 7, Correct Usage of Steve, Recommendation for Newcomers. Chapter 7, The Correct Usage of Steve, Recommendation for Newcomers. I have to say, Tony Stark is indeed a genius. Even in such a difficult environment, he succeeded in making that small arc reactor. As it happened in the Iron Man 1 plot. Of course, because of the uncertainty of Fang Yimou, Stark is not trying to make the one Malawian Kwacha battle armor as in the original book, and then use the battle armor to escape. Of course Ethan didn't die because of it. However, after witnessing the atrocities of the terrorists, a seed of change has been planted in Stark's heart, and it is only a matter of time before it blossoms. Just like now. Originally, the three of them agreed to leave here directly. But after leaving the cave, Stark suddenly changed his mind. He saw countless weapons and missiles piled up in the valley, all marked with the name of Stark Industries, which made him feel extremely uncomfortable. So he couldn't help but said to the two of them, "Can you wait for me? I think I forgot something very important and I have to take some time to deal with it." "What's up?" Ethan asked with some doubts. "I have to destroy these weapons." Stark's expression was a little complicated. Well, seriously, I never thought these weapons would fall into the hands of terrorists. I thought they would bring peace to the world, but now it looks like I was wrong. There's nothing wrong with the weapon itself, Stark. Ethan tried to console. I know, but I can't escape the condemnation in my heart. Stark shook his head. You know what? Even the terrorists are making fun of me. They say Tony Stark is the best in the world. Terrible murderer. Okay, what are you going to do then? Asked Ethan. Give me some more time. Stark explained, I can make a delayed detonation device to make sure these weapons don't fall into the hands of other terrorists. As a genius who can rub out the reactor with his bare hands, Stark almost closed his eyes and finished the detonation device. Not long after the three left the valley, the deafening explosion sounded throughout the desert, with dazzling firelight almost dyed red for half a day. The vast desert, except for a few cacti, is full of hot yellow sand. This boring color has been extended to the end of everyone's field of vision. The sun's exposure has made the temperature here very high, and even the air has turned into a rolling heat wave visible to the naked eye. It didn't take long for Tony and Ethan to become dehydrated, and even faintly suffered from heatstroke. On the other hand, on Fong Mo's side, he was as leisurely as walking in the early morning forest, and there was no sign of pain on his face. He even took out a few large cucumbers from somewhere to replenish water for the two of them. Stark and Ethan chewed on the crisp and juicy cucumbers. Their hearts could not help but burst into surprise and envy. They felt that Fong Mo's body seemed to be full of mysteries. The more they came into contact with him, the more they could feel him. That are magical and different. As for Fong Mo himself. In fact, he had already realized it when he encountered terrorists before. Steve is the half-body of Fong Mo's soul, and he has shared all his characteristics with him. Now, Fong Mo's body has been completely digitalized. When he had a dispute with the terrorists, his head was shot through by bullets, and the result was just a small hole, and it was quickly refreshed. As we all know, Steve does not have the setting of thirst. As long as he has enough food, he can walk like a fly in the snow or in the desert. He can neither feel the cold nor the heat, and he will never be tired. The feeling of being injured, even if it is almost fatally injured, can be restored within a few seconds. And when Fong Mo inherited these characteristics, he almost turned into a complete monster. It was precisely because of Fong Mo's help that Ethan and Stark persevered. As the sound of the helicopter got closer, the two couldn't help waving their hands excitedly. The helicopter quickly noticed several people on the ground and slowly landed to the side. As soon as the hatch was opened, a sturdy soldier with dark skin rushed out. Fong Mo recognized the identity of the other party in an instant. This guy is Tony Stark's good friend, the future war machine. Colonel Rhodes. Is the happy little jeep comfortable to sit on? After seeing Stark, Colonel Rhodes was obviously relieved and laughed and joked. Stark didn't speak, just showed a relaxed smile. Next time, take a ride with me, okay? Colonel Rhodes patted Stark on the shoulder, and then the two of them gave a deep hug directly, showing their brotherhood. Are these two? After greetings, Colonel Rhodes noticed Fong Mo and Ethan on the side. Hi, my name is Ethan. Ethan smiled and held out a hand. It's a surgeon. How about you? Colonel Rhodes reached out and shook hands with Ethan, then turned his attention to Fong Mo. Man was trapped in the desert for 5 years. When he was found, he was wearing diamond armor worth hundreds of millions. He claimed to be an MC player. Compared with the honest Ethan, Fong Mo's self-introduction was obviously not serious. What? Colonel Rhodes was stunned. The ink below is just a passing stand-in. Fong Mo said again. Rhodes did not speak, but instinctively became vigilant, and subconsciously placed his right hand on the gun on his waist. Hey, Rhodes, don't be so nervous. Of course, Stark also noticed this situation. In fact, after getting along for a period of time, his attitude towards Mo has also eased. Although the ability of the other party is strange and powerful, and he often finds trouble verbally, but it doesn't seem to be some heinous guy, at most a little crazy. Both of them are my saviors. We agreed to go back to the United States together. Is that so? Colonel Rhodes slowly let down his guard when he heard Stark say this. Although his heart was full of doubts, he also knew that now was not the right time to ask questions, so he waved his hand and greeted the three of them to advance the helicopter. Soon the helicopter was launched. Of course, it did not fly directly back to New York, but flew to the nearest military base. After all, the distance is still very long, so everyone also changed to a military transport plane. Not long after, the transport plane arrived at a military base in New York. The cabin door opened slowly. Secretary Pepper Potts, who had received the news long ago, and Butler Happy were already waiting here. Your eyes seem a little red. After changing into a clean suit at the military base, Stark's temperament became obviously a little sullen, and I saw him slowly walking towards his little secretary. Let me guess, is it because you disappeared? Is the longtime boss crying? Because of happiness. Potts' eyes were red, but he laughed. I finally don't have to look for a new job. Oh, that's right. Stark raised his eyebrows unexpectedly. Your vacation is over. After a brief exchange, Stark also introduced Ethan and Fong Mo to Potts, and then a few people got into the car directly. Under Stark's instruction, Happy stepped on the accelerator and drove the car directly. Headed to the nearest burger joint from here. After drinking and eating, Stark directly held a press conference. No matter in any country, reporters are always the fastest creatures, especially the press conference of the world's richest man Tony Stark. They will never be absent no matter what. And Stark lived up to them. He directly threw a bomb-like bombshell news, shutting down Stark Industries' weapons department. In an instant, the whole society seemed to be shaking, the stockholders were angry, and all kinds of news were spread out everywhere, instantly putting all the layers of the entire Stark company into a state of utter wreckage. However, the initiator of all this, Stark did not care about it at all. After settling Ethan and Fong Mo, he headed straight into his laboratory and remained silent. As for Fong Mo's side, he didn't bother Stark. Fong Mo, who has read the original book, knows that Stark is not crazy. He just wants to capture the flash of inspiration in his mind. After all, now that he has a small reactor, it will be far from the steel armor. What's more, aside from Stark's side, Fong Mo himself needs some time to experiment now. There is no way, after all, Fong Mo is new to the Marvel world, and many of the stand-in features have not been tested. Rather than suffer losses due to not understanding the features in the subsequent crisis, it is better to test more now. Combined with my previous experience, and after conducting a series of detailed tests, Fong Mo finally fully understood his stand-in ability. The first is the aspect of power. Fong Mo found that his physical strength was very terrifying, and it was not a problem to kill a person with one punch. Fong Mo guessed that this should be because he shared his life with the substitute. After all, the body has been digitized, so it naturally surpasses human beings. Steve can break a tree trunk with a diameter of 1 meter with his bare hands. Not. In addition to his strength, Fong Mo also discovered something else. Is probably the factor of the flexible mobile module. Fong Mo's stand-in is extremely flexible in the real world, not as rigid as in the game at all. It can even pull a knife flower with an iron sword in mid-air. Of course, in addition to these good news, Fong Mo also discovered a very serious problem. Steve cannot collect resources in the real world. As early as in the cave, Fong Mo tried to get Steve to dig the rocks, and the result was that there was indeed 1 cubic meter of rocks missing from the mountain wall, but he didn't find any falling objects. Fong Mo, who did not believe in evil, dug another cactus on the way, but the result was the same. The cactus did disappear, but it didn't drop anything. Fortunately, the blocks that Steve brought out from the MC world are not subject to this restriction. They can not only be placed at will, but also can be re-excavated, which makes Fong Mo a little relieved. In addition to these features, Fong Mo also found another characteristic that was very attractive to him. I saw him control Steve to take out an apple from his backpack and hand it to himself. The apple held by Steve still maintained the unique pixel style of MC, but when Fong Mo reached out and touched the apple, a white light suddenly flashed, and the pixel-style apple directly turned into a real red apple. This process is irreversible. Fong Mo tries to put the apple back on Steve, but fails. I see. After some research and comparison, Fong Mo nodded subconsciously. Items in the MC world can be converted into items in the real world, but not the other way around. That is to say, is this a logical rule of one-way circulation? Was thinking, but Fong Mo suddenly noticed the hand of Ender in Steve's backpack, and suddenly his heart moved. If something that does not exist in this world has been transformed, what will it be like? If you can't see the 5th chapter, please refresh the chapter directory and download it again. It seems to be a bug. End of this chapter. My stand-in is Steve. Chapter 8, Man Richer Than Iron Man. Chapter 8, A Man Richer Than Iron Man. Seeing the purple light in his palm, Fong Mo was also stunned. He never thought that his stand-in Steve could still play like this. Because the rules of the real world are different from those of the MC world, after the hand of Ender is touched by Fong Mo, its nature has undergone a very obvious change. In the game, the function of the hand of Ender is actually very simple. The left button deals 6 points of damage, the right button grabs a block and throws it at the enemy, and then presses Shift plus right button to make the player teleport. But after being touched by Fong Mo, this thing is no longer a game item. Instead becomes something that really exists in reality. This is actually very unreasonable. It feels like Fong Mo made an unreasonable request, and then let the rules of this world figure out how to convert it into something relatively reasonable. Now, the transformed hand of Ender has been completely integrated with Fong Mo. As long as Fong Mo's thoughts move, a purple light glows on his hands. Fong Mo tested it a little and found that this is probably something similar to an energy field, which can not only increase the power of his fist, but also can be used to retrieve objects from the air. Even if Fong Mo wanted to, he could teleport in a small range. Fuck, this is too cool. Fong Mo clenched his fists and was obviously excited. This is much easier to use than the hand of Ender in MC. After tasting the sweetness, Fong Mo transformed some other items one after another. However, it turns out that not everything can be transformed into Fong Mo's ideal like the hand of Ender. Take the stone pickaxe as an example. Fong Mo touched a stone pickaxe, and then a white light flashed, and a pickaxe made of stone and wood really appeared in front of him, but after losing the mining rules in MC, Fong Mo just used the stone pick hit the ground, and the tip of the pick was knocked out. In addition, Fong Mo also tried a torch. As a result, there was an extra burning torch in his hand. This torch also lost the rule of never going out in MC. After burning for a period of time, it gradually turned into a small pile of ashes. Fong Mo thought about it for a while, and felt that the problem was still with the rules of the world. Things like stone picks, torches, or various foods, because these things already exist in reality, so after transformation, they lose the characteristics of MC and become ordinary items that can be seen everywhere in the real world. But the hand of Ender is different. You must know that this thing originally did not exist in the real world. Because of this, the hand of Ender can reasonably retain its original ability settings after being transformed, such as being able to grab objects, teleport, or increase the power of fists. It seems that glass swords can't be transformed casually. After figuring out the principle, Fong Mo's heart also rose a little bit of enlightenment. According to the logic of this transformation feature, if you transform a glass sword, then it is very likely that because there is glass in the real world, you will directly give yourself a polished glass strip. Fong Mo said that he wanted that thing to be used as a fart. Forget it, let's eat something first. Shook his head, Fong Mo temporarily put down the test of the stand-in ability, and turned to go to the refrigerator. This is also a feature that Fong Mo only understood in the hamburger shop before. The satiety level of himself and Steve is also shared. Steve can eat carrots to restore satiety, but at the same time Fong Mo can also eat real-world meals to fill hunger. Whether it's Steve or Fong Mo, as long as one of them is full, the other will also feel full. Jingle bell. However, before Fong Mo could open the refrigerator, there was an electric bell rang at the door. Hearing the doorbell, Fong Mo was stunned for a moment. You must know that the house he lives in is actually very remote, so under normal circumstances, no one will disturb him. Opening the door with some doubts, Fang Yamo found a bald middle-aged man standing outside the door. "Hello, Mr. Fang Yamo." The man outside the door was wearing a suit. Although his hairline was a bit worrying, his temperament was very approachable. At this moment, the other party showed a smile. "My name is Phil Coulson, I am from the Homeland Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Bureau. I came here to ask you something. I guess Nick Fury makes you work overtime a lot." Fang Yamo looked at Coulson in front of him, and couldn't help complaining, "With your poor hair, I can't help but want to throw a handful of bone meal on your head. You know the director?" Hearing this, Coulson was also a little surprised. The intelligence did not say that the other party knew his immediate boss so well. "Well, the famous Maya fake, who doesn't know him?" Fang Yamo nodded, then greeted, "Anyway, come and sit first." "All right." Although his stomach was full of questions, Coulson walked in with the other party. As soon as he entered the room, Coulson looked around. After all, according to the description in the information, the guy in front of him should be an Oriental wizard or something, and as an agent, it is his job to collect information. It's a pity that he didn't see anything like a magic circle, altar, or candles. Although the whole room was not spotless, it was still very clean and there was nothing suspicious. "Sit down." Fang Yamo sat on the sofa with a casual look. "Didn't you say you want to ask me something? You can ask now. We already know your specific situation." Coulson asked, "What's your purpose for approaching Stark? Your special ability? Or how did witchcraft come about? It's all said that I'm a stand-in messenger." Fang Yamo spread his hands and said, "This thing is what I naturally awakened. It has many functions, and I can't tell it myself. In short, it is something like a guardian spirit." "Then you approach Stark." "I just met Stark by chance in the desert." Fang Yamo interrupted, "I'm not interested in his money, or the strange science and technology in his mind, it's better to say him. It's fun, and I don't mind having one more friend. But Stark is the richest man in the world." Coulson is obviously not convinced. "Your appearance is too mysterious, we have reason to suspect. You know a hammer?" Fang Yamo rolled his eyes and asked, "Have you heard of alchemy?" "That's, what?" Coulson, "Of course, never saw it. Is it the one I understand? Midas in Greek mythology?" Fang Yamo shook his head, his mind moved slightly in the next second, and Steve standing behind him silently took out a gold ingot and handed it to him. The moment the original pixel-style gold ingot touched Fang Mo's palm, it directly turned into a giant gold brick the size of a grinding disc. Since Coulson can't see the stand-in, so from his perspective, Fang Yamo himself took out a gold brick out of thin air. "Is this gold?" Coulson couldn't help but be taken aback. Real solid gold bricks with a purity of more than 99.99%. Fang Yamo put the gold bricks on the ground and directly pressed out several cracks on the tiles. "See? This is the legendary alchemy technique." As an agent, Coulson's eyesight is still very good. I saw him check the gold bricks and found that this thing is actually a real solid gold brick, so he couldn't help showing a shocked expression. How did you do this?" "It's just a stand-in ability, no fuss." Seeing Coulson's surprised expression, Fang Yamo smiled proudly. "That's why I said, I never care about whether others have money or not when making friends. Anyway, they definitely can't be richer than me, right?" Hearing what Fang Yamo said, Coulson didn't know what to say. If the other party is really good at alchemy, then there is really no one richer than him in this world. The gold brick just now weighed at least a few hundred kilograms. I feel that my whole life salary is this gold brick. Only 0. Then Stark intends to close the weapons department. Do you have any clues about this? After all, they are agents, and Coulson quickly adjusted his mentality. Stark can support a lot of people, and their weapons are of good quality. If they go out of business, it is estimated that even the military will have a headache. That was Stark's own decision. Fang Yamo said, the desert trip broke his naive fantasy. He realized that using weapons to bring peace is not reliable, so he didn't want to sell weapons anymore. After all, he is a proud genius. Making this decision, does it make sense? Is that so? Coulson nodded subconsciously. However, before Coulson could think of the next question, Fang Yamo suddenly clapped his hands. Okay, I'm hungry, this is the end of today's Q&A. After finished speaking, Fang Yamo directly waved his hand, and the door was suddenly opened automatically. The meaning of seeing off the guest was obvious. Coulson glanced at Fang Yamo speechlessly. Without knowing the true strength and character of the other party, the relationship between the two parties should not be too stiff. Since the other party didn't want to talk, he could only leave with interest. Of course, he didn't forget to leave a few gadgets secretly before leaving. Fang Yamo didn't know Coulson's tricks, but he had tested almost everything he should have tested, so nothing would be revealed. In fact, his goal was originally the shield side. According to the plot, Nick Fury, the head of the agent, is currently pulling the team. After showing a little bit of his ability, can the other party not be interested? Of course, Fang Yamo didn't want to join the Avengers. After all, he's not a good person, and he definitely can't be a superhero. In fact, when he killed those terrorists in the desert before, he didn't have any trouble in his heart, as if it were just a zombie in the game. Fang Yamo didn't know if this was Steve's influence on him, but he didn't hate it. The other side Mo who repays grievance with virtue is too advanced for him. He can't learn it. In his opinion, perhaps killing decisively is the truth in the world. When you use violence to control violence, as long as you are strong enough, others will be willing to do it and reason with you. He found S.H.I.E.L.D. because he just wanted to make things more convenient. In fact, just as Fang Mo expected, after waiting for a few days, he did meet the Magifact man as he wished. End of this chapter. My stand-in is Steve. Chapter 9, he gave so much. Chapter 9, he gave too much. It was a night where you could not see your fingers. Fang Mo was about to fall asleep, but suddenly there was a sound in the living room. Fang Mo, who was in a daze, thought that his family was being robbed. After all, the security in the United States is really not very good, but he was too sleepy, so he simply closed his eyes and planned to control his stand-in to deal with this thing. But what he didn't expect was, when Steve walked to the living room with the iron sword, he found a one-eyed black man sitting on the sofa. I saw the other party with a shaved head, wearing a black leather windbreaker, and a black eye patch on his left eye. His entire face was taut, looking very cold and serious. Judging from this unique shape and unique appearance, obviously this guy is the legendary Magifact, the one-eyed black egg, the head of secret agents, and Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Considering the various behaviors of this guy in the original book, Fang Mo probably guessed that Nick Fury seems to like to sneak into other people's houses, and then make a sudden appearance or something. Then he will be able to gain dominance in subsequent conversations. But Fang Mo said that he was not so good at fooling around. I saw him slowly stretch out his palm, and the purple dim light turned into an invisible force field and passed through the wall. The next second, the sofa in the living room directly floated up, and flew into the bedroom automatically as if consciously. So the next second, Nick Fury, who was full of confusion, directly confronted Fang Mo. Good evening, Director. Unlike Nick Fury's livid complexion, Fang Mo smiled at the moment. It seems that your little trick has been exposed. Don't you plan to say "Mom" to fake Fang Mo, a man who claims to be a stand-in messenger? Nick Fury is the head of the Secret Service after all, and his psychological quality is very strong. At this moment, he didn't really swear, but just pretended that nothing had happened. Your origin is really mysterious, you can't find it anywhere. When it comes to information about you, it seems like it appeared out of thin air. Do you mean that you have even investigated the East Side? Fang Mo smiled. Then your energy is really great, Director. You seem familiar with me. Nick Fury's expression was calm, and he was not affected by Fang Mo's words at all. What, are we already old friends? Or where have you seen me before? Since you have investigated Huaxia, have you heard of fortune-telling? Fang Mo asked. What is that? Nick Fury thought for a while, and he really didn't seem to have heard this word very much. What does fortune-telling mean? Calculate a person's remaining lifespan. Similar to the prophecy on your side. Fang Mo explained, in short, I can see the future. Really? Nick Fury pondered for a while, and seemed a little non-committal. Then why don't you tell me what the future me will be like? It can only be said that it is quite satisfactory. Hearing this, Fang Mo couldn't help but smile. After all, it's too easy to fool an original character, although your idea is good. But you know, everyone in your superpower team is a troublemaker, you gotta wipe there like an old mom, but not everyone is as obedient as Captain Marvel. Looks like you know a lot. Nick Fury's one eye narrowed slightly. He hasn't told anyone about the formation of the Avengers team, or about Captain Marvel Carol Danvers, so, you are also in this team. A member of? Sorry, I'm not. Fang Mo shook his head. I'm not interested in being a superhero. Oh, why? Nick Fury wondered. Because Lao Tzu hates being kidnapped by morality. Fang Mo said directly, so as long as they find out that I have no morality, they will give up the moral kidnapping of me. That's really a novelty. Nick Fury said, so, what do you want to do? Don't worry, although I'm not a good person, I'm not a bad person either. Fang Mo shook his head, I'm a reasonable person. Since we have our own needs, we should just use each other. What are your needs? Nick Fury asked immediately upon hearing this. I don't know what I said now, but it's probably just witnessing some supernatural events, or using your resources to practice the so-called witchcraft. Simply put, it's just making trouble for you. Fang Mo thought about it. After all, the shield. The resources are still very useful, and they should be able to help you unlock more modules, but this must also be mutually beneficial. After all, everyone is an adult. I still understand the truth, we cooperate to achieve each other. If you need it, you will also benefit. Witnessing about supernatural events. Does it do you any good? Nick Fury asked. I'm just interested in this aspect. Of course, Fang Mo couldn't tell the truth, so he said casually, after all, it's interesting to witness your own prophecy come true, isn't it? Is that so? Nick Fury would definitely not believe such a simple lie, but after thinking about it, he decided to agree to Fang Mo's request. After all, the other party is also a factor of instability. If he stays by his side, he can keep an eye on the other party or something. So he nodded and said, it's okay to agree to your cooperation requirements. I will arrange for you to be a technical consultant, and then you will have the authority to mobilize resources. However, before the words were finished, Nick Fury's cell phone suddenly rang. What's wrong? Nick Fury glanced at Fang Mo on the bed, and then answered the phone. Are you sure? Well, I see, stay where I am and wait for my order. But what he didn't know was that Fang Mo had already controlled Steve to sneak in and overheard the contents of the phone. Looks like our chat is going to end early. Nick Fury got up directly. There is something urgent, I need to deal with it. And just as he was about to leave, there was a sudden flash of purple light, and the bedroom door was slammed shut. Nick Fury didn't speak, but slowly turned his head to look at Fang Mo. If I heard correctly, you just invited me to be a technical consultant, right? Fang Mo slowly got up from the bed, and then stretched. I also feel the urgent matter you mentioned. Interested, what do you think this green-skinned monster is? On the helicopter, Nick Fury's face was not very good all the time. His face is now darker than the coal in the MC, and even the agents next to him dare not go up to talk to him. Yes, Nick Fury has also reacted now. Sure enough, he was still tricked by Fang Mo. The other party must have used some kind of weird magic to overhear the content of his call. Go together by yourself. In fact, at the very beginning, Nick Fury didn't agree with Fang Mo's request at all. After all, he doesn't believe in Fang Mo at all now. Many things remain to be seen. If the other party has plots, it will be troublesome. As for himself being locked up and threatened by the other party, Nick Fury said that he has never seen any big storms. Can you be afraid of this? Something Nick Fury didn't expect. Fang Mo stretched out his hand and actually pulled out a giant golden brick the size of a grinding disc from the air. Nick Fury was stunned, and then he heard Fang Mo say, Mr. Director, look, this is my sincerity in cooperation, and you don't want your agents to have no funds for activities, right? In this case. Nick Fury wanted to refuse, but the other party gave too much. This piece of gold brick alone can add tens of millions of dollars in activity funds. You must know that Nick Fury has carried out many secret experiments behind the scenes of Congress, and these research funds are usually required. He squeezed himself out from the gap between his teeth. Now that such a good opportunity is in front of him, can he refuse? Although it is a little tangled, but in the face of the golden bricks, Nick Fury can only insist on the ink above the belt. He actually wanted to ask Fong Mo a lot of things. It was just a matter of urgency before, but now that the other party has already boarded the plane with him, he continued to ask. Is there no limit to your abilities? Nick Fury couldn't help but ask, just like alchemy or something, can you really make gold at will? It depends on when I can go back. Fong Mo shrugged, after I go back and make a zombie pigman spawning tower, I will buy the entire shield directly. Shield? Nick Fury asked, what's that? It's your organization with a huge name now, and it will be called SHIELD in the future. Fong Mo waved his hand, then interrupted without waiting for Nick Fury to say anything, you have too many questions, why don't you? How about we talk about this green-skinned monster first? Are you interested in this guy? Nick Fury asked, did you see it with the power of prophecy? How much information do you know about it? Dr. Bruce Banner. Because of an accident in a military experiment, he was irradiated by gamma rays and turned into a green monster. Fong Mo said casually, you call it the Hulk. Looks like you know a lot. Nick Fury said, so, what do you want to do? Let's fight. Fong Mo touched his chin, I haven't done it for a long time, I have to find a way to test my strength. Unfortunately, I can't meet your request. Nick Fury's eyes moved slightly, and he silently wrote down the opponent's belligerent sign in his heart, and then continued, although Dr. Bruce Banner can't control himself after his transformation, this matter has always been handled by the military. We can only be responsible for monitoring at best. I know that. Fong Mo nodded. He had read the original book, and of course he knew that there was no shield in the Hulk movie. In fact, Marvel had no specific plans for the Marvel Universe at that time, so each movie was independent of each other, and the villain in the Hulk was only the military. Originally, people from the military had already controlled Bruce Banner, but it seemed that something went wrong just now. Nick Fury said, they seem to have studied something that is not visible. In short, now in addition to Hulk, they have created a monster out of control, just on the streets of New York. End of this chapter. My stand-in is Steve. Chapter 10, Stronger Opponent. Chapter 10, Stronger Opponents. Oh, you mean hate, right? Hearing Nick Fury's statement, Fong Mo instantly recalled the story of the Hulk. It's that soldier named Bronsky, after witnessing the strength of Hulk, he suddenly doesn't want to be a man or something. You know so much. Nick Fury took a deep look at Fong Mo, someone like him who has a lot of secrets really doesn't like to get along with a guy like Fong Mo who knows everything. He had an illusion that the other party even knew that he was secretly studying the universe Rubik's Cube. I don't think the military will be able to subdue this monster. Just like verifying Nick Fury's guess, Fong Mo soon said again, the equipment on your side is much more advanced than the military. Are you really going to help them wipe their butts? Currently people in the military are making plans. Nick Framer glanced at Fong Mo silently, their initial plan is to release the Hulk and let Hulk deal with that new monster, which is the hatred in your mouth, but honestly, I'm very unwilling to do so. Don't worry about those idiots in the military. Then if the military fails, can I take action? Fong Mo asked with a smile, you should be reluctant to use those energy weapons, right? You sure know this. Nick Fury's eyes sharpened instantly, and nothing else mattered, but the universe cube was too important to him. Who are you? What is your purpose? It's all said that I'm just a stand-in messenger. Fong Mo rolled his eyes, if I really had any idea about the space gem, I would have dug it all the way, okay? Can we wait until now? Fong Mo is not kidding about this. Although he doesn't know the exact coordinates of the shield base, don't forget that he has a small map module. This thing has a cave radar. Nick Fury built it for the universe cube. For such a large underground laboratory, once Fong Mo passed by, he could immediately see the clues on the map. Space gem. What is that? Nick Fury was stunned, another name for the cosmic Rubik's Cube. You don't trust me, why should I tell you? Fong Mo directly rolled his eyes. If the situation gets out of control, I can promise to let you take action, but the reason is to control the deterioration of the situation and protect the people. Nick Fury said, but the premise is that you must tell me how much you know about the Universe Cube. The original name of the Cosmic Cube is actually called the Space Gem, and there are at least 5 other things like it in the universe. Fong Mo clapped his hands. Okay, I've finished speaking. Are we already there? There's a fight ahead. At this moment, the helicopter has flown to the vicinity of Broadway, and the sky-high fire can be seen from a few blocks away. There are panicked people everywhere. Various gunshots and explosions are heard from a distance. It is obvious that people from the military or I was fighting with something, but the thick smoke blocked my vision, so I couldn't see it clearly. But soon, an armored vehicle suddenly flew out of the thick smoke and smashed directly into a shop, only to hear a loud bang, and panic began to spread outward again. You said there are at least 5 space gems in the universe. Nick Fury frowned when he heard this. You call it a space gem, do these gems have some kind of mutual transmission ability? Like a space door? They are. Will it cause aliens? However, before Nick Fury finished speaking, Fong Mo disappeared from his seat. Mojafak! Nick Fury yelled at him. Seeing that he was about to fight the boss, Fong Mo was not in the mood to argue with Nick Fury. After used the teleportation ability of the Hand of Ender to leave the plane, he appeared directly on the roof of a nearby building, which was very close to the center of the battlefield. Looking down from the top of the building, people are running in all directions, screaming and crying are everywhere, and countless vehicles are crowded on the street in a mess, and a huge yellow-green figure is walking slowly not far away. Destroying everything on the road, whether it is cars or people, they have turned into debris, making the whole street like hell. After witnessing all this with his own eyes, Fong Mo found that the hatred seemed to be more brutal than what was portrayed in the movie. Unlike Hulk's anger, this guy showed unbridled cruelty. In order to protect the citizens, soldiers and policemen were attacking him desperately, but when the bullet hit him, only the sound of ding-ding was heard. I saw him grab a soldier casually, put a little force on his waist with both hands, and tear the man in 2 with a snap. The soldiers here are not even dead yet, they are struggling desperately. Screamed, but the blood and internal organs spilled on the hated body, but he couldn't help showing an excited grin. This is the real abomination. A terrifying monster full of desire to destroy. The 2 soldiers raised their rocket launchers and pulled the trigger. The flames roared, and a rocket shot straight at Abomination. However, Abomination suddenly raised his hand and grabbed the rocket directly in his hand. The next second, his fingers were hard, and there was a loud bang. The fire engulfed him, but immediately dispersed, revealing the unharmed monster inside. He. Hate looked at the soldier, showed a cruel smile, and rushed over in the next second. It was as powerful as an armored heavy truck charge. All the vehicles and debris along the way were thrown into the sky. Seeing this, the 2 soldiers lost their souls and immediately drove the armored vehicle back. But the hatred was obviously useless. He is now immersed in a powerful force. Even if he pursues these 2 soldiers, he actually enjoys a kind of pleasure similar to playing a cat and a mouse. After he gets tired of playing, it will be the death of these 2 soldiers. Soon, the armored vehicle driven by the 2 soldiers encountered the traffic jam and was directly stuck in place. Abomination, who was chasing, saw this with a cruel smile, and then stepped on the taxi next to it. The taxi was hit hard and turned over. Abomination took advantage of the opportunity to raise the car with both hands, and shouted at the military camera on the armored vehicle in front, "Go! Find me a stronger opponent." After saying that, he smashed the car in his hand to the front. However, at this moment, the purple light flashed away. "You sure?" Accompanied by this sound, the car that was smashed in front suddenly hangs in the air. Hate was stunned for a moment, but what he didn't expect was that the car smashed directly at him, especially the wheel, which smashed into his face. Just when he hated being hit in the face by a car, there was a sudden buzz, countless purple light spots erupted in front of him, and a black figure appeared out of thin air. "A stronger opponent is coming." Fong Mo's flat voice resounded throughout the street. End of this chapter.